They hung him from a noose, not the man himself, an effigy swinging outside a London pub, wearing his shirt, wearing his number. His face was printed on dartboards. A national newspaper called him a stupid boy. He received death threats. He was 23 years old, and an entire country had decided he was the reason their dream died. 3 years later, almost to the day, that same man stood over a free kick, 30 yards from goal, in the 93rd minute of a match his entire nation was watching through its fingers. What he did next is one of the most famous moments in football history. But the goal is not the interesting part. The interesting part is the 3 years in between, and what he did with all that hatred. Because in elite football, talent is everywhere. Speed, skill, vision, that is just the price of admission. What separates the great from the legendary is not what they can do with a ball at their feet. It is what they can do with the weight of the world on their shoulders. And the icons whose names still echo through stadiums share one strange, powerful secret. They do not merely endure criticism. They feed on it. Today, 4 legends, 4 completely different answers to the same question. What do you do when the world turns on you? Cristiano Ronaldo, who converted an insult into an operating system. David Beckham, the man from that noose, who survived the hatred of his own country. Zlatan Ibrahimović, who does not tolerate haters, he collects them. And Lionel Messi, who answered a decade of doubt without ever raising his voice. This is mindset of legends. This is the art of turning hate into fuel. Few players in history have lived under a microscope like Cristiano Ronaldo. From the moment he landed at Manchester United as a raw, flashy teenager, the verdict was already being written. His own teammate, Rio Ferdinand, called him a show pony. The criticism never varied. Too many stepovers, no end product. Style over substance. An individual showboating in a team game. For most young players, that pressure is crushing. It makes them retreat, play safe, fall in line. Ronaldo did the exact opposite. He did not just hear the criticism, he weaponized it. The mindset is captured in a phrase often attributed to him. Your love makes me strong, but your hate makes me unstoppable. Not a slogan. An operating system. The show pony label became the engine of a total transformation. Ronaldo accepted the core of the critique, that greatness is measured in goals, not tricks, and then made the critics' argument look ridiculous. The flashy winger rebuilt himself into one of the most ruthlessly effective goal scorers the game has ever seen. The extra hours after training, the obsessive management of his own body, the refusal to plateau. And notice the mechanism, because it repeats across this entire video. Every goal was not a point on the board, it was a rebuttal. Every trophy was not just a team achievement, it was personal vindication. Ronaldo built a 2-decade career not by hiding from negativity, but by staring it down and using its energy to climb. Criticism, handled correctly, is not an obstacle to growth. It is the catalyst. But Ronaldo's hate came from pundits and rival fans. Our next legend faced something far darker, the hatred of his own people. He is the man from the noose. The 1998 World Cup. England versus Argentina, a knife-edge knockout match. In one instant of frustration, David Beckham kicks out at Diego Simeone. Red card. England go out on penalties and 60 million people go looking for a scapegoat. They find one. The backlash was unlike anything football had seen. The headline, 10 heroic lions, 1 stupid boy. Death threats. The effigy on the noose. For the entire following season, he was booed mercilessly at every away ground in the country. Beckham later admitted the experience left him a mess. His wife, Victoria, has described him as clinically depressed during that period. This is the kind of moment that ends careers, quietly, a few years later, in decline and excuses. Beckham did not hide, and he did not crumble. Backed by Sir Alex Ferguson and his teammates, he answered the only way that counts: on the pitch. The very next season, 1998-99, Manchester United won an unprecedented treble, with Beckham central to all of it. But winning back a nation is slower than winning trophies. It happened one brilliant performance at a time, over 3 long years, in front of crowds that still jeered his name. Which brings us back to where this video began, October 6th, 2001. England trail Greece 2-1 in the final minutes of a must-not-lose World Cup qualifier. A free kick 30 yards out, Beckham's territory, though he had already missed several that day. The 93rd minute. The man they hanged from a pub sign steps up and bends the ball into the top corner, sending England to the World Cup. In one swing of a boot, the villain of '98 became the savior of 2001. That is the anatomy of a redemption arc. No shortcuts, no speeches, just 3 years of grit, absorbed abuse, and relentless performance. The darkest stretch of criticism often sits directly before the brightest moment of vindication. Most people quit somewhere in the middle. Ronaldo internalized hate. Beckham outlasted it. Our third legend does something nobody else has dared. He rolls out the red carpet and invites it in for dinner. Throughout his career, Zlatan Ibrahimović has built a persona of supreme, almost theatrical arrogance. But beneath the bravado sits a genuinely brilliant psychological mechanism. He consciously uses negativity as a performance enhancer, and he is completely honest about it. "I need to be angry," he once explained. Anger, for Zlatan, is not a distraction from focus. It is the source of it. Conflict sharpens his senses and unlocks his creativity. He has described how, his entire career, people judged him before he ever got a chance, and how he turned all of it around and made it a driving power, driven to do everything better, never satisfied. The mindset became both shield and sword. When a devastating knee injury at Manchester United threatened to end his career in his mid-30s, the doubters delivered their verdict. Finished. Zlatan heard it differently, as raw material. "All this gives me energy. All those people that are speaking," he said, insisting that he alone decides when his story ends and that it would not end with an injury. He came back. He starred for LA Galaxy, then returned to top-flight European football with AC Milan, and silenced everyone who had written the obituary. His entire philosophy fits in one of his most famous lines: "I need new haters. The old ones became my fans." It sounds like a joke. It is actually his biography. Zlatan actively seeks out doubt because he knows exactly what it is: free fuel. He does not tolerate pressure. He runs on it. But fire is not the only way. Our final legend proves that the fuel of doubt can burn silently for an entire decade and still consume everything in the end. Not every legend fights back with Ronaldo's defiance or Zlatan's swagger. Lionel Messi, worshipped in Barcelona, doubted at home, carried a burden the others never knew: the relentless criticism of his own country. The accusations in Argentina never changed. He doesn't feel it like we do. He doesn't sing the anthem. He can't deliver a trophy. Final after final was lost. including the 2014 World Cup, and the pressure curdled into something personal. How deep did it cut? In a 2019 interview, Messi revealed that his own 6-year-old son once asked him, "Why do they kill you in Argentina, Daddy?" In 2016, worn down by the weight of a nation's disappointment, he briefly retired from international football altogether. The greatest player of his generation, and the doubt of his own people nearly broke him. But Messi's answer was never volume. It was persistence. He returned to the national team and simply kept showing up, kept absorbing the blame, kept fighting to break the cycle. His resilience made no noise, and it never cracked. Then the dam broke. 2021. Messi leads Argentina to the Copa America, the nation's first major trophy in 28 years. And then, the 2022 World Cup, almost certainly his final chance, where he produced a tournament for the ages and carried Argentina to the one prize that had always escaped him. That trophy was more than a victory. It was the final, definitive answer to every doubt ever aimed at him, delivered, characteristically, without a single word. Messi proves the fuel of criticism does not always make an explosive fire. Sometimes it is a slow-burning ember, quiet, patient, and utterly relentless, that takes a decade to melt the hardest doubt, and then completes a legacy in 1 month. 4 legends. 4 different nervous systems. 1 truth. The road to legendary status runs directly through hostility. Criticism, doubt, and public pressure are not detours around the journey. They are the journey. These 4 did not ignore the hate. They studied it, understood its energy, and redirected it into discipline, focus, and an unbreakable will to win. Ronaldo converted insults into standards. Beckham converted a nation's rage into a 3-year comeback. Zlatan converted doubt into fuel he openly asks for more of. Messi converted a decade of pain into the most complete legacy in the sport. So here's the question these 4 leave behind, and it goes far beyond football. The criticism you are avoiding right now, the voice you keep trying not to hear. What would change if you stopped treating it as a verdict and started treating it as raw material? Some of the most powerful fuel on the planet is being told you are not good enough. The only question is who is holding the match. Call to action. If this story hits something in you, subscribe to Mindset of Legends for more deep dives into the minds of the greatest to ever compete. And tell us in the comments, which of these 4 answers to hatred is closest to yours? The fire, the comeback, the collector, or the silence?